We were given the task to build a platform for the container. What we did first, go see the container size and measure where the points sit on the ground. We then drew up a plan of how many piles we would need, what size bearers to use.
Once we knew how many piles we needed, this was determined by the NZ3604. That is the book of standards that show what timber to use and what space and spans timber can span.
We calculated the holes to be dug and marked them out so we could dig.
Once we dug the holes, we hit solid ground, and then we measured 300 millimeters deep from there. This is because you need it to be 300 millimeters deep from solid.
Some of our holes were 1 meter deep. That's because we didn't reach solid ground till 700 millimeters. Then we had to dig further.
The house piles we used were 125 by 125 at 1.8 meters in length. It was H.4 treated, which allows it to be buried in the ground without decaying or rotting.
We suspended the piles off the bottom of the hole to allow concrete to sit under the pile for a minimum of 100 millimeters. We did this by nailing the pile to the plate we placed on the ground.
The walls on the sides are angled, so we had to work out what that angle is. Using trigonometry, we were able to find our angle by the 2 known measurements we had.
It's a flat pack cabin and I'm doing the angle walls with Aurora. These walls have to be split into 2, have studs at 600 centres. We worked out the angle to be 6.34 degrees. This is a very low pitch. Some roofing can't go on this cabin or it won't work.
I had to work out the back frame size, then calculate how much timber I needed. We are using the common framing timber 90 x 45 H1.2 for all our framing.
When marking out the frames, we had to follow the instructions from the NZ3604 framings, that is load bearing had stud spacings of 400 or 600 spacings depending on the load. Our roof is lightweight, so we went with the 600 centres.
So the framing teams got given this plan from a client and he wanted a cabin built for his daughter. He lives in an area that is hard to get access to, so we had to calculate the frames to a certain size.
To make all the frames, we had to make it so it could be flat packed.
It's a single pitch roof, 4.8 by 3.6 cabin, so that's roughly a 17 metre squared building that won't need consent.
First we had to calculate how much material we needed. I had to work out the floor framing. It was 2 separate floor frames that would be joined together once we built them. We made them at 4.8 by 1.8. With the joist being at 600 centres and having 2 perimeter joists, we needed roughly about 40 metres.
Yo, the timber we used for the flooring joist was 140 by 45 H1.2. The treatment doesn't allow for it to be exposed to the weather or sit on the ground, so it must be covered off the ground and is protected from bugs.
After building the floor frames, we joined them together, but before we could stand the wall frames up, we needed to level the floor frame to within a mil on the level.
We used the builder's level to get the floor to the required height, then cut the pickers to the exact size.
We had to first pick the corner of the floor that was the highest point, then level it all to that height.